crazy spot here, west coast of the Vancouver Island. There's an osprey fishing right beside me. Maybe I'll try to see if I can catch him on camera in a bit. This beach is quite the little jewel. I mean, right now I can see two other people at about a mile. Pretty cool spot. This is actually the beginning of the West Coast Trail. This is the west end of the West Coast Trail, if you want to Google that if you're curious. And it's funny, this town out here, I got a bit of a connection with it. This is basically where I went straight from being a boy into frickin' man's world on a commercial fishing boat. And I did not have a clue what I was in for. It was absolutely terrifying at first. But I've never not lost a connection with this place. I've always had a boat here. I grew up sport fishing here, guiding here. I worked on a commercial fishing boat. It was my very first job in Man World, which is right here. But anyway, we've been here for about 4 or 5 days, getting a lot of things done. I know I'm not moving here, but I have had to pull my boat out of the water, do a pile of stuff to it. Ended up keeping it. I was going to buy another guide boat. This year it didn't happen. There's a gray whale spouting right in front of me here. I'll film that in a little bit. Sarah went out swimming out there with the thing the other night. But anyway, piles of emails have been coming in. I mean, piles. And you know, I always post up stuff online on my community page or wherever, and I just try to drop thoughts for everybody to think about, right? I don't tell people what to think. I don't tell people what to do. I don't tell people what to say ever. But what I do try to convince people, I don't try to convince people, I try to offer up to people different angles to think about things. And if I ever come across knowledge that I know to be 110% true, then I'll directly share it with confidence. Other than that, I just like to drop things in front of you. They get dropped in front of me. And I encourage everyone to take from it what you will or leave it. Write and think for yourself. And I could drop this thought in the community page the other day. Today, especially with the level of technology we're allowed to have right now, today, it does not matter what person, what group, what organization, what business it is. Anyone who attempts to stop someone from speaking is 100% guilty of something. They 100% do not have the best intentions for you, or their community, or the world. And that is, I would bet my life, my horses, all my loved ones, I would bet the bank on that as fact, okay? And I think it is very, very, very important that each and every single one of you teach that to the children when you can. Teach them that if or when they come across someone who wants to stop them or others from speaking, they need to know that those people are guilty. All right? It's a simple lesson in life. It should be a standard lesson, just like when you're born, you grow up a little bit, you stick your finger in that candle, it hurts. You learn that lesson, you never do it again. I feel strongly this is a very important lesson for the children, is to teach them that whoever tries to stop them from speaking is truly guilty. Guilty of something. All right? That's what I really want to get across to people. If I can. Oh, not that much battery left, so just wanted to see if I can get a couple shares here, and I'm going to move the camera and show you that open Pacific Ocean in a minute as well. I'm kind of tired. I've been up every single day very early, getting that shit beat out of me on the water. And so, before I start babbling too much, what do we got? Titled, It's All Your Fault. Hello, Steve. Yes, it's all your fault. I've watched your channel full-time for over a year now. I sent my Sasquatch and other experience to one of your lesser-known emails. It's not important, but it is there if you want it. Okay, man, if I missed it, I'll look for it. I'll just Google your... I'll search your name in the inbox to see if what comes up. Now, today I ended up on an unintended conversation about Sasquatch. We had a family visitor for the day from back east. She was telling us about a person named Rex and how he believed in Sasquatch. This came with rolling of eyes and the look that says he must be a little off. Well, I don't know Rex and probably will never meet him, but I did defend him. I told her that I'd seen a Sasquatch and it is a real being. The look on her face went from humor to serious in about a half a millisecond. We went and sat down in a better location. I told her of my 4 experiences with the Sasquatch beings. It took a while to go through what I could tell her, but by the end, she understood that these beings are real. Perhaps we need to stand up for each other once in a while. Without any mocking or ridicule, we made progress in one person. This will help Rex in his future conversations with her and possibly others. I probably would not have spoken up if I had not been made aware by your work that so many other people had also had these experiences. Yes, it's your fault in a good way. Wishing you the best, Gary Reed. Anyway, that's great work, Gary. That is absolutely perfect work. Just speak to people, square up with them, look them square in the eye, speak matter of fact. Don't belittle them, tell them the honest truth, but look them in the eye and be absolutely honest with what you know. There's nothing more effective, right? Good work, man. Keep it up. I love hearing those stories. Mark that as red. All right, I ran alone for 5 decades, no fear until that day. Why? That's the title of this email. Resend without a test, fix your email, and I won't need a test, LOL. Dear Steve, first off, you're my hero. I absolutely love you and David Plattis. You guys are definitely a cut from above most men. I'm just stating the facts. I have several childhood stories of Sasquatch encounters. Okay, man, thanks for the kind words. Appreciate that. I never had a bad one. I've had ghost encounters, interdimensional experiences, and a whole array of other weird shit happen to me in my 42 years. Most people think that I'm crazy, but I don't give a rat's ass what anyone thinks. Never have, and ain't starting today. I'll start my first encounter. Back in 1989, up in North Carolina, my dad was working for a home builder. I believe it was around Charlotte. Callaway Plantation was the name of the neighborhood. One day around lunchtime, there was a big ordeal about some animals being mutilated and left hanging. Didn't think much of it then. It was written off as a devil-worshipping cult. Anyways, lunchtime after the ruckus settled down, me and my dad found a spot to eat lunch. It was at the end of the subdivision where they were clearing more forest out to continue building. As we were having lunch on the edge of the dense woods, my dad quickly rose to his feet and shouted at me to run. I didn't obey immediately and turned to see what he was insisting on running from. He stopped at the truck and waited because I was entranced by this 10 to 12 foot tall, hairy, human-looking creature. Never snarled, growled, or bellowed. He kind of just looked at me inquisitively like it was awestruck or something. I approached it and it stood there. As I got closer, it kind of shied back, but it let me touch its hands. Holy shit. This is the first email of this flavor. My dad then yelled at me again, and as I turned away, it disappeared into the woods. Wow. Moving forward, we lived in Tradesville, South Carolina, which is about an hour away. My family owned lots of land in Tradesville, Beaufort, and in Lancaster, South Carolina. There was hundreds of acres of woods around for me to explore in. Every waking moment I'd be in them woods with my cousins, uncle, dad, brother-in-law, nieces and nephews, whoever came along. Many times I would venture out by myself if no one was around to come along. One particular time I was out scouting and ran up on some wild hogs. The biggest one with its huge tusks started chasing me. I was making my way to a leaning tree when I slipped and fell. Just as the wild boar was about to tag my ass, this giant behemoth creature runs in and scoops up the hog and tears it in half. I was so effing scared I couldn't move. I shit myself and passed out. When I awoke, it was at the edge of our acreage about 100 yards from the house. Guessing the creature carried me out of the danger zone. I told my dad what happened and was then let in on the family secrets. Apparently, my grandparents had some sort of relationship with them creatures that dated way back before my time. Wow. I was never allowed to carry a gun in those woods alone and could only hunt for food, never to take more than we needed. By the way, my father's family were of the Cherokee tribes. The few years we stayed at the Carolinas, I experienced a lot of crazy shit, seeing things that shouldn't exist and doing things that have no explanation. We moved back to Alabama when I was 13 and learned of my mother's secrets with the Choctaw background. So to say I'm a mixture of Indian, Irish, and a few other things is an understatement. I'm connected with Indian stuff I don't understand, Irish folklore that will scare the hair off a grizzly, and German beliefs that will make a sailor go to church. Just about everything Mr. Politis inadvertently describes, and most things from your channel I've personally seen. I ain't no scholar, scientist, or some mighty hungry research leech. I'm just telling things that I've experienced personally. I don't care if you share my name. I already have a criminal record and a shady background. My reputation is tarnished, but my words are factual. If you want to hear more, just hit me up. Thanks for listening. Joe Usher. All right, Joe. I'll tell you what, man. I appreciate you emailing, all right? And as far as you having a criminal record and shady past, there's not too many people on the face of the planet that don't, right? At this point of the game. My God, if I could count on how many people I know that grew up obtaining criminal records and what would be called a shady past. I mean, I guess it's almost like I don't know how to describe it. It's just a common thing for a lot of people to get into trouble with the law when they're growing up and trying to become wise. So you're not going to be judged by me, all right? So if you want to write in with more details, I'm sure there's probably going to be a lot of people here that are really curious about details when it comes to specifically that thing that you walked right up to and touched its hand. That's crazy. And you're not the first person to write in who has claimed to have been saved by these beings and carried away to safety. So thanks again for emailing in, man. All right? Here's a good photo for the non-believer, Steve. You can use it if you like. I can't say where I got it, but anyone can see it's real. Study the muscle tone, the neck, the red eyes and flash, long arms, bare feet in the snow, and tracks coming downhill. It still amazes me. Terry, keep up the truth. It's all we have. Yeah, you know what? Actually, I'm pretty sure the person that took this photo, the person that went to go look at the prints after the photo was taken, mailed me the same photo quite a while back, and it's in one of our videos. But I'll post this up again for you in case somebody missed it. I can't say if it's real or not. All right, so again, for about the 6,000th time, take from it what you will or leave it. All right, there's no sense in publicly sniveling about it if you don't like it. All right, keep your shit together, people. Thanks for sending that in, man. All right, it's a common photo ripping around right now, or for a while now anyway. Here's another one. R.E. Giant Turtle. All right, this is probably in relation to that email shared a week ago or whenever it was. Listen to this. Hi, Steve. Hearing the story of the giant turtle in the road reminded me of a story my grandpa told. He had a friend who was hired as a diver in an Ohio River dredging project sometime in the 50s or early 60s. He worked one day, then turned his gear in and quit. The man told everyone he would never go down in that water again. He saw some kind of enormous creature that scared him. He said it could eat a man whole. Vicky, I appreciate that share. It's funny, you know, when we share emails and people share some of the most outrageous things our minds could even make up, it's good to share them, especially where and when, because you know as well as I do, if somebody's seen something once, somebody else seen it too. And so far that's held true with I don't know how many experiences that have been emailed in. People have tapped into the same area, the same experience, or they know somebody who told them the same story. So that turtle story was a freaking interesting one, wasn't it? And especially when that original person that shared it said that somebody had painted numbers on the shell. I mean, if you're gonna make up seeing a 5-foot-tall snapping turtle, I'm pretty sure just making up the fact it was 5 feet tall would probably be good enough for your imagination, but to add in that somebody had some numbers on it, painted on it, I don't know. Who knows? Wasn't there. But if anybody else has heard something similar or seen something similar, go ahead and email it in, all right? At least if you do, it can help somebody get their self-respect back and their respect back in their community for sharing what they saw. Again, take from it what you will. All right, you guys? Take from it what you will. Or leave it. Greetings from another free man and a story to tell. All right, man. Dear Steve, my name is Justin. I stumbled upon this channel nearly 1 month ago, and I've been absolutely connected since then. My wife-to-be, Jacqueline, and I are such admirers of this channel and the intention that propels it. All right, thanks for that, man. And hi, I'm saying hello to you, Jacqueline. I hope you enjoy, I hope I read this email smoothly for you guys. Furthermore, I thank you for your understanding, yet firm disposition in regards to these topics that us, the listener, the thinker, holds in such serious regard. It is sad to say that such topics have been raped, distorted, and resold through a corporate filter. I mainly reference these widely produced and skewered television programs which diminish the serious nature of it all, ego turning into a fun viewing experience. We, meaning you, I, others like us, do not think that this area of the world is casual or fun. I will continue to explain this idea in further detail. I would not be offended if you found this email too long to share it with your viewers. I know that you generally offer a couple of stories per video, and I would hate to take up too much of your time. Now I share with you this odd happening and my thoughts in regards to it. You know what? Take note, all of you guys, especially all you people, girls thinking about emailing in. Just take note, I've never said once it's too long. No story is too long, all right? Don't let that stop you from sharing it. Get it out. Just get it out of you. Share it. Here's a small amount of information about me. Here is a small information about me. I enlisted in the Army in 2008. It was an interesting stretch of time, if you're speaking frankly. Basic training was compiled of AIT, all having taken place at Fort Benning. After which time I attended Airborne School, Air Assault School, and what was at the time referred to as RIP, the Ranger Indoctrination Program, now referred to as RASP. All that said, training is only a means to the end. I ended up with the 101st Airborne Division, 2nd Brigade Combat Team, 502nd Infantry Regiment. I spent time in Kandahar, Afghanistan, another place steeped in my mystery, another place steeped in mystery, myth, and common occurrences of high strangeness. That is a story for another time. For now, we'll speak on a particular field training exercise that took place in early 2009. The area used for these expeditions is referred to as the Back 40. There's much forest, with scatterings of young soldiers here and there. It is quiet for the most part. The weather was typical, hot as hell and more humid than anything else. I would say there was 30 of us or so broken into our corresponding teams. We were running battle drills, PIR checks, EBCR theory, all the basic stuff. As I mentioned, the weather was fine, hot, but in no way did we foresee a weather event like a tornado. We were out there for a couple of days before a particular evening came about. I cannot forget. We had yakisoba that evening. It was terrible food, truly. We had all dug our ranger graves for the evening and were sorting out responsibilities among the soldiers. Fire watch, observation areas, sensitive items, and other mundane things. On an average night, we sit around, clean our amphoras, discuss life before then and what it may be after all this is finished. However, many people were happy to simply discuss food and their favorite method of preparing it. It was hard to imagine that some of these young people would be dead this time next year. My mind wandered. I'm sure you understand. Now I digress. It was early 2200, perhaps 2300. I know this to be accurate as squad leaders kick off fire watch at 2100 on the dot. A siren sounds, a brutal and heinous noise to which many of us respond with violence in preparation of whatever it may have been. We gather weapons and items at the request of Staff Sergeant Mesh and are told to follow his orders and details. As he is explaining that we are to move on foot to a various location, a first sergeant, not ours, an incredibly large man with bright red hair, basically tells him to shut the F up and that things have become very simple. All of us are to follow him now. The siren is still sounding. This siren is sounding still, whilst the lot of us walk hastily behind the first sergeant and trail of E6s and E7s for nearly an hour. Again, I must say the weather was fine. I cannot stress this enough. Nevertheless, we are to enter a tornado bunker. Concrete, damp, smelly, in the middle of nowhere. We're huddling together waiting for more information. We hear the siren sounding, various noises and sounds and accompaniment. We are told that we are experiencing a tornado. We are told that we shall wait it out until morning. Let me tell you, the night was full of silence with bursts of odd noises, certainly not tornado noises. There is a banging upon the building, a series of thuds, which we assume to be trees and material hitting the building. Upon the next morning, it was apparent that something had exerted tremendous force upon the trees. Razor wire had been displaced. Entire rolls weighing 400 pounds were on various sides of the small bodies of water in the area. I've seen the aftermath of a tornado. Small and delicate plants were still standing strong, and logs were unmoved from the day before. Would a tornado not have picked the earth apart, or at least to the extent that there would be some degree of evidence of the tornado? There was not, my friend. I did not think on it much at the time. As a 32-year-old man now, I aim to be comprehensive, even to the extent that I may alienate myself from my peers for my interest in this area. My point to all this is, it was not a tornado. In fact, there hasn't been a tornado or a weather event that caused training disruption for soldiers there since 1998, aside from ice storms and cold weather-related issues. For many years now, I have held tightly the belief that national parks, indigenous reservations, and military installations are strategically placed with the knowledge of things going bump in the night, Fort Campbell being no exception. The world, according to some, is simple, linear, black and white. It is such a grievous mistake to assume this. In 2021, there is so much goddamn useless misinformation being pumped into people that they are far more concerned with Cardi B than they are of human interdiluvian past and the world less spoken on, like the world of dimensional bleed-throughs, missing links in biological evolution, the Earth being a flat and closed system to support energy technologies that are spawned from the misinformation about physics and what energy is accessible to us as people. Perhaps my mind is wandering, but I'll eat my goddamn hat if these things are not interconnected. Anyway, Steve, I thank you for your dedication. My wife and I view society as a failed system. So do I. We're moving into an RV full-time and are steadily raising money to get started. Perhaps if we make our way to your neck of the woods, you can share a meal with my family and I can tell you about the time I shot my NCO's handmade arrow off into the woods as an accident. He's probably still there. Who knows? He has passed away now, but it was nice to think of his arrow buried there. If only because I can use a bow for shit. If only because I can't use a bow for shit. I look forward to hearing from you potentially, but would not be offended if my email did not reach you. Friendliest regards and a big hug, Justin and Jacqueline from California. That was a great share. Justin, thanks a lot. Thank you to you and your wife for sharing that with all the people. If there's that many people down there in that hole, listen to that hell storm or assault or whatever is going on above ground or outside that bunker. I'll bet you somebody else, possibly maybe, following this channel, and they will follow your lead and share what they heard or what they know, right? And who knows, you might not be off with your call on the reservation land, national parks, Department of National Defense lands. You never know. There's so much to discover, man. I'll tell you what. There's so much we need to learn, but we're learning it. It's coming out. You gotta admit, everything's coming out. All right, what do we got here? A near miss. But anyway, thanks for sending an email. And if you can, if anything comes up that you feel the people should know about, make sure you email it into here to me, and I will get it shared. All right? And that goes for everybody listening to this. You find something out, you learn something that people need to hear, you get it to me. A near miss, another story for you. Hello, Steve. I'm a regular watcher of your channel. I grew up in the Pacific Northwest in Eugene, Oregon in the 1960s. In my teen years, my friend and I were both children of alcoholics, and our youth was what I referred to as unsupervised. Both homes were the type you learned to not be there if you could help it. That's sad. I hate seeing that shit. Hearing about it. Fast forward to the 1970s, and we were nature girls at the time. At that time, when everyone was getting back to the earth, it seemed. We were both 16 years old and times were much safer then. Many times we would hitchhike up to the Cascade Mountains with our buck knives on the belt, backpacks and bedrolls, and hike back into the woods and camp near a river or lake. The Cascade rivers have many bedrock formations just right for swimming and sunning. This particular time that comes to mind, as we had gotten a ride in a hippie bus up to the backside of Cougar Reservoir and hit the hot springs for a dip, then hiked up the road to French Peak Wilderness area. We'd run through the woods barefoot on the deer trails in our shorts, obviously not really aware of the dangers lurking. We made camp by the river in a remote area, made a fire and supper, and then bedded down and all was well. In the middle of the night, we hear a great whoosh. A huge rock had been hurled down into the water. Then another and then another. Frightened, we packed up our bedrolls and packed with gear and spent the rest of the long night hoofing it down the road, back to the highway, and down to the first town with a payphone, hugging the fog line and watching our backs. Called and got our sister to come and get us. The last time we did that, of course, it rained during our descent. Okay, well, I've never told anyone about this, but thought it might be a different spin. Thank you for your platform and keep up the great work. Jenna Taylor, a.k.a. Viking Lady. All right, Jenna. Thanks for that share, Jenna. Obviously, you know now, you're not alone. How many people have emailed in about rocks getting tossed? Dozens. Dozens and dozens and dozens, right? Why they toss rocks, I don't know. I'm just thankful they don't toss them and hit us in the head every time with deadly accuracy whenever they feel, right? Keep them coming in. All right, what do we got here? Photographs. Uh-oh. Mark you as red. Good day, sir. Love your work. Great job. Good day to you, and thank you for that. Herein I enclose some pictures. My brother Bert went for a sled ride out back on Moose Mountain in February 2021. He returned with these pics. The next day I went with him to see for myself so I could see they were humanoid. However, showed my 6-foot-plus son-in-law, Ed, said there was no way he could make that stride as he jogs and runs every day. We followed the tracks and wow, they led right to elk beddings, and his tracks vanished on the game trail. A month or so later, Bert went out back with a .22 for rabbits. Well, he said something utterly scared the shit out of him. A loud noise he never heard before. He said he didn't think it was a cat. Regardless, I said, let's grab a rifle and go look. My imagination, whatever it was, scared the shit out of little brother. My dogs actually cowered and cried many times in late evenings while I worked in the shop years subsequent, before I saw the tracks. During these cowerings, I had dreadful feelings and never left the shop, till I psyched myself out to go back to the house. Whatever it was scared my dogs, tree, bears, etc. But now we know why. Nonetheless, I asked my neighbor if I sent him the pics, as he lived here his whole life. Wade said no. Wade went on to say that he saw his own Bigfoot tracks out back years ago, and then went on to say his brother was heading home on the bus. He looked behind and saw a being cross the road behind the bus. Wade also went on to say his uncle also saw one out back. I later was able to speak to his brother, and he told me his whole story. On another note, Wade, on another occasion, had told me about one of his cows being abducted from the herd and showing up in the long grass beside the shop with no tracks leading to it. It was mutilated and drained of blood. RCMP showed up just to see for themselves. The local UFO guy didn't attend, as he said it's a waste of time, as it seemed the same as all his other investigations. Wade later dragged the cow back into the bush and kept an eye on it. He said no animals would go near it. It slowly rotted away. Lots go on that we don't know about. My whole life I wanted to see proof, and now I know beyond a doubt. My take on this all is the Sasquatch is the descendants of the giants from the myths/Nephilim? Well, I just said I had to share the pictures, as even seeing authentic tracks helps me deal with knowing they are real. Sort of different when you find them yourselves. Keep up the great work. Keep up the great work. On another note, Steve, I really enjoy your sharing. We are getting closer to the truth. going to be interesting. I'm used to being called crazy, LOL. My name is Ken Bernard. I'm not scared of being in the open about this. However, proud to have the pleasure to knowing the truth. This is an honor seeing these tracks in person, and I don't care who says what, as they're the crazy ones for being in denial. Peace be with you all, and thanks guys, love the stories, helps me hearing them. And here's the photos, and I'm looking at them. I wasn't there, so I can't tell you what they were or weren't. If I had to be an innocent person with these photos shared with me, I would say that they weren't in a straight line and the stride wasn't far enough apart. But then again, for all I know, these footprints could be like 20-something inches plus each. But anyway, thanks again for that share, man. If you got anything else to share with us, make sure you get it and email it in to sharemystoryhowtohunt.com or tellmystoryhowtohunt.com. All right? All right.